April is National Social Security Month, and I know the question you millennials have been dying to know. 1. Is there going to be any Social Security left for me? And 2. What even is Social Security, and why do I keep hearing that the baby boomers are going to take all of it? My friends, pals, comrades, I hear what you're saying. As a millennial myself, I'm also pretty skeptical about the promise of free money after we retire. As young people, we often aren't super forward thinkers because we're focused on the now. With this economy in particular that we've inherited, it makes it a lot more difficult for millennials to save up and invest money into the future when everything looks so bleak. But fear not, Social Security is something we can probably look forward to. Social Security isn't something exactly taught in elementary school, and with April being Social Security Month, what better time than now to have us learn a little something about the great mythical beast of a Social Security check. Now, this topic isn't something that I'm familiar with, honestly, so I sat down, did my research, and I decided, you know what, let's bring in someone who knows a little more than I do. But before we can get to the fun stuff, I have to remind you who I am. If you've ever had questions about Social Security, but instead you just scrolled Twitter or went and made a bowl of cereal, I understand, I get it. But you've already taken the first step by watching this, so stick around for the next 15 minutes and you might learn a thing or two. My name is Myleah Lofland, and this is What the Gov. Before we do a deep dive into Social Security, we have to get a little bit of a history lesson. Some people disagree with the idea of having Social Security. Some say that it conflicts with our Constitution, while others might say that it's covered in the Constitution. You all should know the drill already. Each and every episode has to tackle an amendment, which means it's time for the Amendment Corner. The 10th Amendment makes sure that our country keeps working through federalism. Federalism in the United States means the country is governed through two different groups, the federal government and individual state governments. In federalism, the federal government is in charge and is given many powers. It has authority over the individual state governments. However, because of the 10th Amendment, there are some powers that still belong to the states. The powers and rights protected by the 10th Amendment are called reserved powers because they are not specifically assigned to the federal government. For example, the Constitution doesn't give the federal government power over driver's license. This is a reserved power for each state. The state governments can each determine who gets a license, at what age, and how they get one. You might think that this means whatever the federal government doesn't regulate, well, the state gets to handle it. And well, that's just not true. Over time, the federal government has expanded its power. And with an expansion of power comes more regulations and mandates for the people, like Social Security. Let's get into that. Like I said before, Social Security is definitely something I'm not as well versed in, and my parents always tell me to ask questions when I don't know something. So since we're all about learning here on What the Gov, I decided to have an expert on Social Security to share some information with us. I think it'll be pretty helpful for all of us who are pretty clueless on how Social Security actually works. Here today with me is our first ever guest, Tanya Johnson from the Social Security Administration. Tanya, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you. Thank you for having me.
So obviously Social Security is something really important, but can often be misunderstood. So I've got a couple questions here that I gathered from people who had questions about Social Security. So I guess start off by telling us, what is Social Security? If you were to explain it to a teenager, how would you do it?
Well, I would start out by saying that it's like most insurance programs. Social Security retirement benefit is an insurance program. You contribute by paying your FICA taxes from your earnings, and we figure your benefit based upon your contribution. You're first eligible for the benefit at age 62, which for Social Security is your retirement age.
Okay, so why is it important? Why should we care about it?
Well, it's important because for most people, it replaces about 40% of their pre-retirement income. So it was never intended, to replace your pre-retirement income. But for a lot of people, that 40% is huge. So having that Social Security retirement benefit as the foundation of your retirement is a big thing for most people.
Okay, so how is your benefit calculated exactly?
Well, we look at your highest 35 years of indexed earnings. And when I say indexed earnings, we're looking at your highest 35, but those early years, which for most people are lower years of earnings, we index them, meaning we give them current wage value before we average, but we're always going to consider your highest 35 years. If you've not worked 35 years at the time of retirement, we still need 35 years. So if you say worked 20 years, at the time of retirement, we're going to factor in 15 zeros to get us that 35 that we need.
Okay. So how do you apply for Social Security?
Well, I'd like to say online, and online. Of course, this being Social Security Month, National Social Security Month, we're pushing everything that we offer, all the tools we offer for you to take care of your business with Social Security online. Do it online. It's a lot more convenient. We like to think easier. May not be for some people, but we will always offer a face-to-face option for those folks who do want to sit down and talk with someone, and we also offer a telephone interview option.
All right. So what's the average Social Security benefit?
Well, in 2019, the average Social Security benefit is $1,372 per month.
Okay, and what's the maximum Social Security benefit?
And the maximum in 2019 is going to be $2,861 per month. Now, some people receive a check higher than that because they worked beyond their full retirement age, so they get what we call delayed retirement credits. But the $2,861 is the amount if you filed at your full retirement age, the maximum in 2019.
Okay. So will there be Social Security left for us? I mean, a lot of people are asking that question.
I'm going to say yes. We had as recently as a couple of weeks ago, a trustees report come out. And based on that trustees report, the Social Security Trust Fund is fully solvent through 2035, which is a year more than it was last year. And what that means is by 2035, the agency or the trust fund won't be bankrupt. There will still be funds in it, but instead of being able to pay you 100% of the benefit that you're entitled to based upon the age you file, we'll only be able to pay about 80% of your benefit.
Okay. So could you just go through a couple of the resources that are available through the Social Security Administration?
Well, of course, with Social Security, you change your name with us. You apply for your Social Security card. We offer a number of different benefits. You can file for your retirement. We offer spouses benefits, survivors benefits. We offer 2 disability programs, the Social Security Disability and Supplemental Security Income. Outside of those, it's just those, people will check with us to make sure their earnings are correct. I encourage everyone to enroll in a My Social Security account. It's you taking control of your benefit. So if you don't already have one, that's the way to make sure the earnings are correct, because again, we're basing your benefit on your highest 35, so you want to make sure those earnings are there. So that's pretty much what we're offering.
Okay, so what website can people go to if they want more information?
Social Security's website is www.socialsecurity.gov.
All right, well, thank you so much for coming on to the show today, Tanya. I definitely learned something, so I'm sure everyone else has as well.
Thank you for having me.
You heard it here. Social Security is an integral part of our democracy, and it's important to know how it works and how to plan for the future. But that's all we have time for today, folks. Our content comes from community questions, so if there's a question that makes you go, what the gov? Then send me an email with your name and question at socialmedia@laurel.md.us. Or if you're watching us on YouTube, be sure to leave us a like, subscribe to Laurel TV, and leave a comment with your question below. Here's to a future where we all know a little more than we did the day before. Take care.